Differentiate f of x is equal to x squared plus 1 divided by x times e to the x. So when we look at this, we see that we have a fraction containing two functions. So we know that we're going to use the quotient rule. And we also notice that we have a product of two functions in the denominator. So that tells us that we're also going to be using the product rule. So let's go ahead and differentiate this. So f prime is going to equal to low x times e to the x times the derivative of the top, which is 2x, low d high minus high d low. So here's when we're going to use the product rule. We have x times e to the x. So the derivative of that is going to be the result of using the product rule. So that's going to equal to first times derivative second, which is just e to the x, plus second times derivative first. Derivative of x is just 1. And then we'll go ahead and factor out an e to the x. And we get e to the x times x plus 1. So times e to the x times x plus 1. So we got low d high minus high d low, bottom squared, and off we go. So this is the derivative. So now we have to simplify it, clean it up a bit. So when we look at this, we see that we have two terms in the numerator, and that we have a e to the x here and an e to the x here. So let's just go ahead and factor that out. So we get e to the x times x times 2x, which is 2x squared, minus the other term, which is the product of x squared plus 1 and x plus 1. So let's go ahead and just FOIL that right now. So we get x squared times x is x cubed, x squared times 1 is x squared, plus x plus 1. After we FOIL that. Yeah, and we have to be careful here. We have to make sure that we keep these separate, because this is a separate term here than this one. So later, we're going to be distributing this negative sign. But first, we have all this over, let's see, x times e to the x squared. Let's go ahead and distribute this power. So we get x squared times e to the x squared. And then just a quick note, if we have x plus e to the x squared, then obviously we wouldn't be able to distribute this 2, but since we have x times e to the x squared, we're able to distribute that 2. So just a algebra review. So now we're going to distribute that negative sign. So we get e to the x times 2x squared minus x cubed minus x squared minus x minus 1 all over x squared times e to the x squared. And then we can also see that we have an e to the x in the numerator and an e to the x in the denominator. So let's go ahead and cancel that out. Cancel one of them. We still have an e to the x left. And then, let's see, we can also combine like terms. So we got a x squared here, and we got another x squared here. So that gives us negative x cubed. We got a positive 2x minus 1x squared. So that's going to give us positive x squared minus x minus 1 divided by x squared times e to the x. And this is the simplified derivative. All right, let's solve one more. So we're asked to differentiate y is equal to 3 over x squared minus 4 over x to the 5th times x to the 4th plus 6 times x to the 2nd. So just looking at this straight away, we see that we have a function times a function. So that tells us we're going to use the product rule. Then we also notice that the first function has 2 fractions in there. So we would have to use the quotient rule twice. So this is obviously going to be a kind of long, messy, annoying problem. So we're not going to solve it that way. We're just going to rewrite this. We're not going to take the derivative yet, but we're just going to rewrite this as being y is equal to 3x to the negative 2nd power minus 4 times x to the negative 5th power times x to the 4th plus 6x squared. So what we did here is we expressed these fractions as a product with a negative exponent. So we got rid of the quotient rules. Now we have a product rule, but we're also going to just avoid using that as well. We're just going to distribute these two binomials. We're going to use the FOIL method. And we're still not taking the derivative. We're just rewriting the function y. So y is equal to 3x squared plus 18x to the 0 minus 4x to the negative 1st minus 24x to the negative 3rd. So we rewrote this original equation into this equation. And now we notice that all we have to do is use the product rule. Sorry, we have to use the power rule. So using the power rule, we get 6x, we got 18x to the 0th power, that's just 18, and we know that the derivative of any constant is just 0, so we don't even have to bother writing that down. The derivative of this is going to be, let's see, we're going to bring out that negative 1, it's going to turn it into positive 4x to the negative 2nd power plus 72x to the negative 4th. So all we did is we used the power rule on each of these terms. And that's it. This is the derivative.